Nintendo is a massive corporation that millions upon millions of people love. As one of those people, I understand that the company makes some of the most bizarre and sometimes malicious decisions. From free Melee to their frivolous attempts to suppress fan games and emulation, Nintendo often baffles the consumer and shocks them with their unfriendly and anti-consumer behavior. For decades, the company has survived and often thrived on innovation. As such, the company has the mindset that they must always remix what is old and popular, and often abandon projects and series altogether. Beloved series like F-Zero have been left completely in the dust for extremely unclear reasons. This takes us to the Paper Mario franchise. For over 2 decades, Paper Mario has been a staple of Nintendo's quite limited arsenal of RPG games. This franchise has a total of 6 installments, with the first 2 being highly praised. Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door are both fantastically charming games that combine the lighthearted nature of Mario with role-playing elements such as turn-based battles and experience systems. These games combine turn-based battles and quick-time events to make fighting off enemies surprisingly engaging and fun. While the other installments in the franchise all have their unique quirks and charms, none have come close to the popularity and unanimous love that the first 2 games receive. Moonsprout Games' Bug Fables tries to emulate and recreate what made Paper Mario so good. It is important to keep in mind during this video that I have not played either of the first 2 Paper Mario games prior to my recording of this video. Although I have played a fair bit of the latest installment in the franchise, The Origami King, I do not have any biased inclinations towards the formula that made the N64 and Gamecube games so successful. So without further ado, here's my unbiased and honest little review of Bug Fables. For those unaware what makes the Paper Mario RPGs so great, I'll let you in on the game's formula. The first of the 2 huge defining characteristics of the franchise are the real-time interactions in a turn-based battling system. When performing attacks, you can interact with the game to enhance the amount of damage your attacks do. For example, in Bug Fables, one of the main protagonists named Kabu asks the player to pull down the left joystick and release it when the game beeps and the icon flashes. The timing is always the same, which makes it predictable, but this adds another layer of interactivity. You truly feel like you're the one battling. This mechanic is included more so that you have a chance to mess up and deal less damage, instead of being angry because of bad RNG. The story, characters, and world of Bug Fables also add to its charm. Everything is so lovely and the characters are deep and relatable. There's a very light-hearted feeling, too, which makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. I used to not care too much for story in video games, but the more games I play, the more I appreciate when the developers try to tell a story that's deeper than the surface level that is the gameplay. If any game succeeds in doing so, then it's Bug Fables. In Bug Fables, the player is presented with a surprisingly well-fleshed out story where bugs all live together. You quickly learn the lore of the world and understand the different factions and kingdoms that live in it. At the beginning, you're introduced to Kabu, a level-headed Beedoo who wants to help everyone he can. When trying to register as an explorer in the Ant Kingdom, he is denied because he does not have a partner to work with. Luckily for him, Vi, or Vi as in Violet, is also registering and needs a partner. She is a sassy, rude, and immature teenage bee who has lots of heart and spunk. They go on an adventure and run into the third protagonist, Leaf, a moth, who has lost all of his memory and has been frozen in time. Together, the 3 of them adventure in search of precious artifacts to help bring power back to the Ant Kingdom. I don't want to dive too deep into the story, but it is surprisingly very good. I didn't expect too much, but the characters' dynamics, coupled with the amazing world around you, does not disappoint. The stakes are quickly raised and a sense of duty grows inside you as the player. Paper Mario and Bug Fables also share a badge or medal system in which players equip different medals that change the way the game works. Some help boost you in battle, others help defend you from losing money while trying to flee from battle. Each medal costs points, and as you level up, you can equip more and more badges. For veteran players, at the very beginning of the game, you can grab yourself a hard mode badge that makes enemies tougher in exchange for more XP and goodies. The game is pretty easy, all things considered, so even on a first playthrough, it might not be a bad idea to equip it. Besides, if the game gets too tough, you can always unequip it. I missed out on this in my run of the game, and when I revisit Bug Fables, I am definitely going to play on this hard mode. As for the combat, it's really, really good. Each character has their own timed attacks that all require you to input different things at different times. Like I said earlier, this keeps you engaged during battles. I've always liked turn-based battles, but I've always been the type of guy to just spam the A button until it was my turn again. Not only can I not do that if I want to maximize my damage output, but you can also time blocks to prevent incoming damage. This means I can't spam the A button anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. In every battle, even though it is turn-based, you are physically acting to win the fight. In a way, it's almost not turn-based because of how much interaction and interacting you do. Additionally, like nearly every JRPG, there's a magic system. Each character has their own set of abilities. The more you play, the more abilities you unlock. Personally, I found the attack-based abilities to be ineffective for the most part, but that may be because I didn't have the right medals equipped. I would usually just use V's ability to heal characters. Occasionally, I would try to use an attack ability, but most of the time I did it did less damage than my regular attacks did. It's important to mention that characters have different strengths and weaknesses in battles, which makes Kabu, Leaf, and V each feel very different from each other. V has a boomerang, which gives her the ability to knock foes out of the sky. As long as enemies are flying, the other bugs can't attack them, making her skill very useful. The other two have similar traits that allow them to be effective against certain enemies, but I think it would be a bit redundant to actually talk about each ability individually. Enough about the combat. Usually, an RPG revolves around its combat and story. While Bug Fable's strong suits are definitely the two, there's a lot more to love here. For example, to solve puzzles, each bug has abilities it can use in the overworld. Leaf can freeze water and create platforms for you to jump on to reach different places. With these abilities, players can find tons and tons of secrets just by exploring and using their brains. While I'm on the topic of puzzles, there are a good bit in the game, but these puzzles are actually fun? I typically don't like puzzles because the answer is either too cheap or too obscure, but it works fine here. I won't lie, I did have to use Google and YouTube a few times, but overall, the puzzles were pretty simple and not that bad. Most of the Googling I did ended up making me angry because the solution was to just walk it down. The camera is positioned in a way where you can see a lot more in every direction than you can down. Often, I wouldn't see required pathways because of the camera placement. This is a bit of a nitpick, but boy did it annoy me. I really want to talk about the characters as well. They're so lovely. Everyone you meet is very distinct, bold, and memorable. I just want to hug all of them and spend all my time in Bulgaria. This just makes the side quests so much better. I enjoyed the side quests in this game as much, if not more, than I did the main story. I must have spent about at least a third of my time of my 30-hour playthrough helping all the troubled bugs and fighting off monsters to defend innocent creatures. The rewards were usually worth it in the end as well. I would not have been able to beat the final boss if I hadn't got some of the badges from side quests. A little side tangent, I know I said the game was easy, and it is, but the final boss is a nightmare if you're unprepared. I didn't have the right items with me, nor did I have the right badges, and so I constantly got destroyed. To beat him, I left the final area and grinded a bit. By grinding, I mean I did a few quests and searched for some items. This game is the opposite of grinding. In fact, if you have moved on to a new part of the story, you only get 1 XP per fight in older areas. Yeah, I was not a fan of that. Afterwards, though, he was a breeze. This made me realize how fair the game really was. It gave me all the tools to truly experience the game to its fullest. I didn't have to smash monsters for 2 hours to go back to the final boss. In fact, I couldn't. Instead, the game gave me fun opportunities to increase my odds of beating him. I really could gush about this game all day. I still haven't been able to talk about the awesome artwork, the great ways the game allows you to dive deeper into the lore, the ways it allows you to progress at your own rate and gives you opportunities to grow stronger. For such a simple game, its ingenious design is quite deep. I will forever love Bug Fables. Before, I had never played anything like it. This game has really changed the way I feel about gaming and game design as a whole. Ever since I beat the game, I haven't been able to shake its excellence out of my mind. I really can't recommend this game enough. It is simply fantastic and extremely accessible. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, comment, or even subscribe. If you're feeling really generous and nice, you can turn on the notification bell, but let's be honest, I'm not going to upload for another couple years. Anyway, see you guys next time.